long awaited update on Bitcoin as we are in a pivotal moment in Q4 where I think that we are going to find and confirm the bottom, and I'm going to tell you why I think that the bottom has already likely been put in for the year and for this bear market cycle. I'll roll you through those main indicators to give us that clarity and why you should likely be thinking about buying some Bitcoin now if you haven't already. And we'll also drill down to some of the short-term timeframes as to show us why we are likely more repeating 2018 bottom rather than any other move to take us lower. The reason I think that the low has already been put in is because we spoke about this 4 months ago in a video, which I'll link above me. And you can see that if you followed that, you would have been on the right track and you wouldn't have been selling your Bitcoin. You'd been adding in and around that 21, 20, 19K level. And June was most likely the low because 4-year cycle also stipulates that, you know, this is around the time that we're going to see the low. Okay, it's not an exact time or date, but you have to get the principle of what these 4-year cycles and what these indicators are showing you, not the exact price or date. And let's just take a look at two things from 2018. Okay, we got this got this down thrust to form our low. Okay, and then we had a failed rally to the upside, moved correctively to the downside, and then we started to impulsively move up, forming an ascending triangle. Okay, back in 2018, and you can see that in 2018 on the 50-day moving average, we moved an impulsive move down, moved up, tested the 50-day. Failed and moved back down, and then we made a second attempt, and that's where we broke out, consolidated above the 50-day moving average, and that's where we formed our ascending triangle and moved to the upside. So I want you to pay attention to that, because if we look at the prices currently and we keep that 50-day moving average up, we've formed our impulsive move to the downside. We moved up, tried to go above the 50-day, failed. Okay, moved down, consolidated down below the 50-day moving average, and you can see that we're just showing some signs at the minute that we might be holding the 50-day. And if something similar was to happen, you can actually see that we got the exact same price rejections at the 50-day, quite interestingly, that if we do hold this and we're able to move higher, okay, then, you know, 25K is likely going to be that next level of massive resistance before we can move any higher. But some, you know, striking similarities to 2018, and you can see that we have this horizontal level of resistance that if we break through, okay, which is about that 22,000, okay, then I think that if we break this level, okay, and we managing to hold 20K above that 50-day moving average, that definitely gives us the room to maneuver straight up to that 25K level, which is the bottom of the range that we broke down from and the top of the current range that we are in. And that might just end up forming some kind of pattern like this. So I want you to be aware of this, because if you see this, it's about trying to spot these trends before they happen, not after they happen, and saying, hey, look, this happened in 2018. You know, you want to try to be a little bit ahead of the curve. But like I said, for me, this would be invalidated if we start to take out these lows. Obviously 17.5K, we lose that. I think we move a lot lower. But I think that even if we move down below that 18.5 or 18K, then I think we move lower, and it would be quite violent, because what is going to happen soon is this is going to be a lot of consolidation, which will precede expansion in whatever direction we go. So if we start to move up higher and this forms like some sort of ascending triangle, this is 5, 6, 7 months probably going to be of like price action. So whatever direction we move in, then it's probably going to be you know, very violent, and is going to dictate the direction of the trend for maybe a few months to come. And you can see that we've got this really, really low period of volatility here. And usually when we get this really, really long, drawn out period of low volatility, when we start to get that impulse or that move in whichever direction that would go, okay, at the minute it's gone to the upside, then usually that's the direction of the trend that we at least go in the short to medium term. So let's keep an eye out for that. The bottom of bear markets are long, boring, and painful, when everyone at the minute thinks that we're definitely going to go to 13.8K or 12K. And whilst I can't deny that if we break those key levels of really 17.5, 18K, I think so long as we hold these levels and we do break up, I think that the bias will be to the upside, and the levels above us to look out for if we break above 25K that we got back in August. I think that those levels are definitely going to be 28K and about 36K, which are order blocks above us, okay, key order blocks, and actually some really key CME gaps as well. And one of the massive reasons that we are looking at a Bitcoin bottom now is that we said Can we look for an order block on the DXY at about $111 is the start, and then the end of that order block is about 120 as a potential top for the dollar, which we know is inverse to Bitcoin, and we were looking for somewhere around that 111 to 114 to, you know, be a good area for maybe the Dixie and the DXY to pull back on. And if you actually look a little bit closer, although this is an undeniably strong uptrend, you can see that we have slightly formed a high back in September. We made a slightly lower high, and then we're currently trying to challenge these highs. So if we roll over from here on the DXY, I think this could give Bitcoin quite a bit of fuel to move up, okay, if that were to happen. And if we drop this down to some of the lower time frames as well, you can see that we have some deviations on the DXY where we got our top over here. We basically failed rally, tested this order block, okay, that we broke down from, and basically we swing failure patterned over here where we basically deviated up, shot straight back down, and currently we're actually forming a little bit of a potential lower high to this pattern over here, where the order block, okay, is the up candle before the down move, okay. So that's how I'm reading this. So this whole area for the DXY is a potential to basically move a little bit lower and swing back down to the downside. And obviously if we take out some of these levels at about 109, I think there's definitely a good chance that we'll move down to some of the lower untested order blocks, which are looking to me at least somewhere over here at about 106, 105. It's really hard to see these things ahead of time. And everyone's saying, hey, look, the DXY is super, super strong, not good for Bitcoin. I totally agree with you, and I get that. But you have to just look at, you know, some clues as to what the chart might be showing you, with just a slight bit of weakness in some of the dollar pairings and how that might affect Bitcoin going higher, and how that relationship of a slightly weaker dollar might start to give Bitcoin that platform to move higher. And if we check out some of those these important moving averages on the weekly time frame, we spoke back in June, and we speculated before this crossover actually happened, which would happen in September, which it did, is that when we get a crossover of the 50 and the 100 week, we have already bottomed somewhere between about 2 to 3 months before, and you can see that currently has occurred. And we take a look at the Bitcoin halving, which is part of the 4-year cycle, we can see really clearly that in the previous 2 bear markets, right, we bottomed about 500 days before, okay, so 550 days before. And if you can see that, that's actually not too far off, you know, where we've already bottomed out in June. So either we are going to have some sort of really quick snap for me in Q4 and we move and make a massive move lower, or we've already bottomed and we're starting to climb higher, which I think is the most likely scenario. And this is where you can kind of use this information to speculate that, you know, it's not necessarily those exact like 530, 550 days, because we've only got like 2 or 3 data points for this, right? But you can get an idea that about 500 days before the halving, can we look for some sort of significant bottom? And we know, like I said, that the closer that we move into the end of 2022 and into 2023, if we haven't gone lower than 17.5, I think that will be a confirmed bottom for me. And if we take a look at the crossover between the 20-week moving average going down below the 100-week moving average, every single time this has marked the exact low for Bitcoin. So let's take a look at 2015. We've got the crossover, marked the exact low. 2018, we got the crossover of the 20 below the 100 week, the exact low. And what have we already got back in June that we spoke about back in the summer? We've got the crossover between the 20 down below the 100, and we've marked a significant low, and that's been the accumulation period since. So for me, there's not a lot to suggest that, you know, we are more likely to move lower than higher, especially with the component of time. And if we take a look at, again, that weekly 200-week moving average, then you can clearly see that we know that that's a really good area to be buying into Bitcoin for the long term, because every time we hit it, we know this is basically buy, chill, and wait until we make our new all-time high. So that's how I'm looking at the market. Final thoughts would also be to be going hard into Bitcoin rather than altcoins. If you are looking to get into this market, I still think that we have a rally, and a Bitcoin-led rally, to get us out of this bear market before we can really start looking into value for the altcoins. So for me, it's definitely a Bitcoin hold for the next 3 to 6 months, most likely. Hope you enjoyed the video, got some value. Let me know down below with where you think Bitcoin is going, and if you are buying or if you are selling or if you're waiting. Would love to know. Until the next video, see you next one.